Elon, SpaceX, man, is it looking back on it now? Isn't it a little weird that the Biden administration didn't show some enthusiasm for the amazing that Elon is doing in space? I haven't heard from NASA in a long time. I'm sure NASA is doing something, but it seems to me that NASA's been on a 50 plus year decline. We go from going to the moon multiple times. We stop doing that. We start doing the space shuttle, which barely goes anywhere, Ron. Are you aware? The space shuttle's like going to your mailbox compared to going to the moon. And then we couldn't even do that successfully. We had the Challenger disaster when I was a kid, and we've had other issues. Now I don't even know what the NASA's doing anymore. It seems like to me, if we're going to Mars, Elon Musk is taking us there. I don't think it's going to be NASA. Why weren't Biden and Harris more excited about this? We had Donald Trump there taking a look at a launch, and it seems to me that that's what the president and what our government should do. We should be proud of these achievements that we're making as a nation.
Doesn't matter, man. They hate him. So if they hate him, I mean, Elon Musk could have come up with the cure for cancer, and they would have pushed it under the rug, or they would have ignored it. So it's what they do.
Yeah, take a look at it. It's just one of those things where I think it's so petty to make whatever it is the relationship
petty
with Elon Musk. It's so petty. So it's nice to see us being able to be, I don't know, can we feel good about again as Americans, Ron? Is that okay now? People are talking about the mood shift in this country, the dynamic changes that we're seeing. Did you see Elon's Cybertruck in the presidential motorcade?
I did. Yeah.
Ron, which is fucking awesome.
Yep.
Look at that. But this is the United States of America. We got the Cybertruck guy. You think if China had the Cybertruck guy, they wouldn't be fully invested in being proud of it?
There'd be 1,000 Cybertrucks.
Look, here's the thing, Ron. I'm tired of not being able to feel good about being American. Here's what it is with the left. As much as anything, Ron, the reason that they lost is you can't even experience a moment of patriotism in this country anymore without them coming in to throw a wet blanket on it because they want to bitch and moan about whatever their pet grievance is,
Ricky,
or whatever it is that America did in the past that wasn't perfect. I've said it before. I'm not going to excuse the mistakes of America's past, but show me a country anywhere in the history of the world that has a perfect report card. All right? Human civilization is flawed. The further back in time you go, the more fucked up things you're going to find that human beings were doing to one another. And it's not something that America had the marketplace cornered on. In fact, we're better than 99+% of the places in the world that you could have ever lived in human history, including today. And I'm tired of one half of the country always inspecting everything with a magnifying glass, looking for whatever fucking grievance it is that they can bring up. And I think that it's okay to be proud of being an American. It's okay to feel good about this country. And I think it's okay to have a positive national mood about who we are as people without constantly being expected to apologize or plead with someone else for their approval because of mistakes that were made that happened generations before any of us that even fucking live here, Ron. I think that's why they lost. And it's refreshing to see a president watching a launch, to see the Cybertruck in the motorcade, because it's fucking positive. I'm tired of the negativity, Ron.
Ricky, some of the assholes on the left, they considered the flag, our flag, to be a sign of white supremacy, or they found it to be triggering. Like, are you kidding me? Like the flag. I mean, do you remember one of the first weeks we were on the air? We did a story about the kid who had the flag on his pickup truck in that high school in Oklahoma. Like, the American flag was considered by them to be oppressive, to be a symbol of hate.
It's so fucked up, Ron. It's so fucked up. It's so disordered. There's nothing wrong with some patriotism.
No.
Saying that you love your country and you support your country doesn't mean that you endorse everything that your country has ever done. Your friends and your family. I mean, you're one of my dearest friends in the world, Ron. But when I do something stupid, you fucking tell me. But that doesn't mean that you don't love me. You know what I mean? It's like, for them, it's like if you're not criticizing and bitching and moaning all the time, somehow you're a bad guy. And I have never been the most gung-ho, over-the-top, mega patriotic person. But you know what? I appreciate a society where it's okay to feel good about being an American without having somebody wondering because you have an American flag or because you put something up. Yeah, I think that was in Oklahoma, Ron, the story that you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's just, please, we should be free to feel good about being Americans. Life is short. Life is hard. And I'm not going to apologize for being proud to be an American. Yeah, we got some problems. Yes, we have problems in our history. We have corrected many of them. We have remedied many of them. We still have problems. There's still things that can be made better, but you make things better as an American by coming to the table and engaging in dialogue with other Americans who are interested in making the country better. And the thing about the left, and the reason that they lost this election, is it was complain, and very little offered in the way of solutions. And if you do solve one thing, they move on to the next thing to complain about. It's you never win with the left, because you could fix 100 things tomorrow and they would invent 100 more problems, because it seems that that's where they like to reside, up in their feelings, and it's become the party of grievance. Well said. It's become the party of grievance. Did you see Steve Daines, the Republican senator from Montana, making a statement recently? Let's take a look at what he had to say.
Daines, my pronouns are Republican majority. I have a simple message for Chuck Schumer and for Bob Casey. It's over.
His pronouns are Republican majority, and AOC doesn't have pronouns anymore, apparently. Is this the end of the pronoun era, or are we still going to be dealing with pronoun shit a few years from now? It feels like we are starting to get to the tipping point of maybe the pronoun business. I'm sure it's not going to go away completely, but please, God, tell me that it's almost over in terms of just being such an in-your-face part of American life.
Yeah, I think it's probably over, but I want to go back to something you said. You're talking about how, there seemed to be a certain feeling, there's a certain vibe going on. I would argue all these athletes now that are doing the Trump pump,
goddamn Trump pump, Ronnie.
You're
getting better at it.
I would bet that not every single person that's doing the Trump pump actually voted for Trump or would consider themselves a Trump supporter. But I think what it's turning into, it's a symbolism. It's a symbol of, holy shit, we're back. Like, we can have fun again. It's kind of like, that's what I feel like they're doing, is like, oh my gosh, this weight has been lifted off of our shoulders and we can have fun again. We can be Americans. That's what I think it probably is.
Well, you can see here, the NFL has confirmed that they don't have any issue with it. It's a celebration dance, and that's how they see it. So it's not being viewed as anything more than that. I think that is definitely the correct move. The NFL's not going to win. If they were to crack down on it, that would just be unnecessarily divisive, and it would profit no one. So it's nice to see. Maybe we're starting to lighten up a little bit. I mean, it's like we talk about lighten up Francis. America has needed a lighten up Francis for a long time. And I think that we are starting to see the beginning of it. I'm encouraged. Sonny Hostin has stepped in it on The View. Matt Gaetz, the nominee for Attorney General that Donald Trump is putting forth has broken the brain of Sonny Hostin. And there's a lot of people on the left that are freaking out about this. Matt Gaetz, who has been the subject of investigations. There were allegations made against Matt Gaetz several years ago that he had engaged in sex trafficking and sex with a minor, allegedly a 17-year-old girl that he had paid for sex, leading to a multi-year, 3-year, I believe, investigation from the Department of Justice that concluded with no charges being brought against Matt Gaetz. The House Ethics Committee has also been looking into this, and with Gaetz leaving Congress to presumably, pending the approval of the Senate, to become the Attorney General of the United States, we don't know exactly what is going to happen there. However, it's important to remember that these are allegations that have been investigated by the Department of Justice, and no charges were brought against Matt Gaetz, who has denied all of this and said that it's a smear campaign that simply was concocted by his enemies to attempt to end his political career. Sonny Hostin, speaking on The View, you can imagine what her thoughts on Matt Gaetz are, but she got a little too certain and a little too emphatic and had to read an apology on air that she read with all of the enthusiasm of a hostage somewhere. This is very satisfying for some of you. Ronnie T-shirts, take note. This is Sonny Hostin on The View making some comments about Matt Gaetz, characterizing them as fact, and then the lawyers got in her ear and she was requested to read a little walk back. Let's take a look.
How could you nominate someone with allegations of child trafficking trafficking across state lines and having sex with a 17-year-old? My understanding, further on in the interview, they discussed the fact that once he finds out that she's 17, he stops having sex with her.
Sonny, you have a legal note.
I do have a legal note. Thank you, Whoopi. Matt Gaetz has long denied all allegations, calling the claims, quote, invented, and saying in a statement to ABC News that this false smear following a 3-year criminal investigation should be viewed with great skepticism. That DOJ investigation was closed with no charges being brought.
We'll be right back.
This is the same woman who said that we need a media a free press that speaks truth. Well, you might want to start by not characterizing Matt Gaetz's allegations, the ones that have been made against him, as fact, because you might end up with egg on your face. And boy, the saltiness there, you could taste it. Thank you, Whoopi. That's right. I do have a statement to read. I don't know, Ronnie T-shirts. Let me go now to the international streaming star from Nashville, Tennessee. Ron, on a scale of 1 to 10, how satisfying was that for you?
Who the fuck even watches that show? Like, seriously, who watches that show?
I don't know. Elderly women?
Cat ladies, right?
Middle-aged women?
Cat ladies?
Well, J.D. Vance might say so.
I don't know, man.
Nobody that I know, but somebody's watching that shit because it's been on for forever.
I don't know how satisfying it was because she clearly didn't mean it. You're ever in a relationship with somebody and you're like, I want an apology, and so they just say, I'm sorry, and you're like, you literally don't mean that. Like, you said you're sorry and you don't mean it. Like, those were the vibes that I was getting from her. I won't say her name. You can say her name. I won't say her name. So yeah. I don't believe a word she said.
That's what made it satisfying, Ron, is that she didn't mean it, but she had to say it. It's not that different than a child where you say apologize.
So
and the kid has to choke out some apology that they didn't fucking mean at all, but it's still satisfying to hear.
I guess she was being scolded, but I guess my disdain for her is so high that I just don't want to process anything about her. Like, the less I have to see her or say her name, the better it is for me. Like, again,
Well,
who's
you are
watching
the
that show?
sidekick on the wrong fucking show, Ron. Because I'm going to be feeding you Sonny Hostin content.
I mean, this is
just
like,
grab a spoon, buddy. It's too tasty. You're going to be getting it.
it's WNBA or The View, one of the two. I'm getting it, right?
One or the other. And if you're unlucky, I might give you both. Some days, Ronnie t-shirts. So look, I just think that for somebody who is so high-minded or speaks like she is and has all of these things to say about, oh my gosh, all the shit that she says about other people, it's just very satisfying for me as a viewer to see her held accountable for saying something that's not true. And then the legal team says, well, you better walk that back because guess what? The future attorney general is probably not the guy to go and make those types of comments about on national television.
Yeah, I mean, her statements are pretty much akin to the very fine people, right? Like, she knows it's not true, but she says it anyways, just because it fits her and that show's narrative, which...
Well, she probably believes it's true. You know, I mean, it's so easy for people to believe anything that they want about somebody that they already are predisposed to not like. We see both sides do it. Look, I always take it from the standpoint of I don't fucking know. I don't know what happened or what didn't happen. I'm like everybody else in the public. I am reading what's in the newspapers. I've heard about these stories about Matt Gaetz going back to 2020 or whenever it was that it became a story. I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. I don't have any idea. So I wait for the facts to come out, and there was a 3-year investigation by the Department of Justice that concluded in no charges being brought. So I think that's the closest thing that you and I, as the public, know to be the best evidence that we have available at this point. But I saw a guy on Tucker Carlson's show saying that he gave Barack Obama a blowjob years ago. And Tucker Carlson's talking to him about that. And I mean, that's why the guy was on there. He was some dude that alleges that Barack Obama blew him and they did drugs and partied together. Allegedly, right? Well, I don't know if that happened or not, but isn't it interesting how it's the people that you disagree with that it tends to be, those are the ones who accept it? There's a lot more Republicans than Democrats that would believe that story. And there's a lot more Democrats than Republicans who would be inclined to believe the Matt Gaetz story. The truth of the matter is until we have actual facts, it's all speculation. And Sonny Hostin, certainly, especially after the DOJ investigation concluded with no charges, you can't go on TV and use the word fact when you're talking about someone having sex with a minor. Yeah, so she absolutely should have had to walk that back. And I'm glad that it happened.
Yeah, I would tend to bet that it didn't happen because with how the DOJ has been weaponized against the right lately, you would think that if they even had a shred of something there, they would have gone after it. And so that's what makes me believe that it probably was just a bullshit allegation.
That's the best information that we have at the moment. I would say to you, Ron, Gaetz tweeted in response to it. I don't know if we have that or not, but he tweeted just a pair of eyeballs. That's got to be a good feeling to know that probably the next attorney general, he's watching you. But there it is, man. Boy, that hurt Sonny Hostin to read that. You could tell it was all she could do. She was just like Frank Costanza. Serenity now.
Yeah.
Yes, I do have a message to read. Whoopee. It wasn't awkward at all, Ron, was it?
No, I just, to me, the allegations of having sex with somebody underage is one of the scariest things somebody can face, because it almost feels like if you want to take somebody down, just make that allegation. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. Make the allegation. And at the very minimum, that person has to spend hordes of time and hordes of money fighting an absolute false allegation. Look at the punter for Kansas City, Matt, what's his Arista, the punt god. Like, look what he went through, and it came out. I mean, that girl finally admitted that it never happened, right? But it almost cost him an NFL career. It's terrifying as a guy to know that somebody could they are like, you know what? I'm going to bring you down, and there's nothing you could do about it. Make the allegation about either one of us, we're off the air the next day just because of the allegation. And that is terrifying to live in a place where we know that that's true.
Well, and it stays with you forever, even if you're exonerated.
Yes. Ricky, I've always
just
said
exonerated in the court of public opinion. The that punter forever. He's going to be associated. Oh, that was the guy that they had those allegations against. He's never going to be able to wash that off completely. And that's a truly disgusting aspect of it.
I have always said that for every 100 units that the allegation receives, when it actually gets proven to be wrong, there's 1 unit of retraction, and that's it. And so you're now fighting against 100 units for the rest of your life, because everybody knows about the allegation. Hardly anybody knows that it didn't happen. And that is terrifying.
And it wasn't an underage case, but it makes me think of the Duke lacrosse allegations as well, Ron, right?
Absolutely.
Those guys who people just assume, and partly because they were preppy male athletes from Duke. Yep. We're all like, oh, Chad playing lacrosse at Duke. Fuck that guy. Of course he probably did that. Yep. And everybody ran with it. And as you said, the clarification, the justice doing, the mending of the problem doesn't receive more than a tiny fraction of the coverage that the salacious scandal received. Ron, did you see that Dave Portnoy indicated that had he been offered the press secretary position, he would have taken it? Donald Trump has put forth Caroline Leavitt for that position, so it's too late for Dave Portnoy right now, but the Barstool founder says that he would have been happy to have taken it. I believe we have some sound of Dave here. Let's take a look.
Has anybody in the Trump administration reached out to you, is Whitney was saying? Okay, I don't know. He's making some crazy hires right now. Press secretary, would you do it?
Oh, that would be unbelievable.
You would actually
unbelievable. That would be unbelievable. Like, just going back and forth with people.
On the record, you accept that job if offered.
If they offer me press secretary, I would be the press secretary.
Done.
Yes.
Oh, my
God.
Good.
Perfect.
Because that would be fun.
Dave would gain 50 pounds, fat, fighting liberals.
Screaming at this poor 26-year-old from Time Magazine asking about the climate. Just yelling at her.
Checking the games. In the middle of fuck, Mr. Ice.
Yeah, if they want to give me that, I'd do that.
I don't know, Ron. I would have been all right with it. I think Dave Portnoy as press secretary is something that I can get behind.
It could be the highest rated TV show of all time every day. Like, it would be must-see TV. Tune in every day to watch Portnoy just go at it with the reporters. It would be so fantastic.
I mean, they don't usually last an entire term, do they? I feel like they burned through at least a couple of press secretaries each presidency. I haven't been keeping a scorecard, but maybe we should remember this for whenever Caroline Leavitt decides that she wants to move on to something else. Just keep Dave Portnoy's phone number handy. Will you Donald Trump?
I see it feels like there's a common denominator with a lot of these people that Trump is appointing. They all have, and now he didn't appoint Portnoy, but Portnoy falls into this category, is they all have fuck you money. And that's pretty interesting to see a group of people that have fuck you money that don't care. They don't have to worry about losing their job or losing their wealth. Like, they can go in there and do what they think is right without worrying about what anybody else says. And it could be interesting. I mean, you got Elon, who's got the most, right? But Dave's nowhere close to Elon, but Dave's doing okay. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun 4 years just to watch it unfold.
It's time for America's poll of the day. Ronnie, let's go to it right now over at Super 70 Sports on X. That eagle screeching through, coming in hot, Ronnie. And here are today's choices. This poll authored by me. The first choice is 1980s MTV, which I assume is going to do several magnitudes better than if I were just to put MTV up there. I never watch MTV now, but hey, it stopped being music television a long time ago. Second choice is Nutter Butters. That's my favorite basic store brand cookie, Ron. I love me some Nutter Butters. I've got Joe Montana, considered by many, before Tom Brady at least, considered by probably most to be the greatest quarterback of all time. I'm sure there's still a few people out there that would hold that opinion. And then Clean Sheets. And Ron, you brought to my attention this morning that we did Clean Sheets a few weeks ago, and I didn't believe you, and you said, well, you want to bet me $1,000? And I didn't like the sound of that confidence level, so I just texted you back, capital N-O. No, I don't want to wager, and it's a good thing because it won its day, and it made it to Championship Friday, where it lost to Monty Python. But by God, because I can't remember, this may be an early Alzheimer's indication for me, Ron. When I don't know my name in 6 months, this might not be as amusing, at least to me. But Ronnie, there are your choices. Clean Sheets coming back for a second dip, and you know what? If I'm being honest, I'm kind of starting to get this sneaking suspicion that Joe Montana might have been in a poll at some point a long time ago too. So.
Listen.
That aside, it gets harder. You do four things
I said
a
it
day,
gets
Ron.
hard. It is hard. It is hard to do. There's no question. People don't understand how difficult our job is. Like
Nobody knows.
They don't know.
That's right.
All right.
We only make it look easy, Ron.
Do you remember what the first video they ever played on MTV was?
Was it Video Killed the Radio Star?
It was.
Yeah, appropriately enough.
Yeah, who doesn't love 80s MTV? I mean, it was one of those things that if you had nothing else to do, you could just kill, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 hours, just watch videos.
Can you name any VJs off the top of your head, Ron?
Nina, wasn't there Nina? There was Mark.
Nina Blackwood.
Yeah, Mark something.
You were just on a first name basis with these
Alan Hunter.
Alan Hunter. Mark Goodman.
Hunter.
Mark
Goodman. Mark Goodman. Who am I missing?
Martha Quinn.
Martha Quinn. Yeah. You know,
Martha Quinn, which was probably my favorite.
Up until just at least a couple of years ago, Nina still did a weekly show on Sirius's 80s channel where she would do like the top 80s songs of that week or something like that.
She sounds like Robert Kennedy Jr. Her voice. I think the cigarettes. Yeah, she's doing a pack of darts for every show. I think JJ Jackson was another. Yeah, Super Sky Point. I believe he's no longer with us, but yeah, 80s MTV was the shit, man.
Yep.
You'd have a snow day from school. Just stay at home and just wall to wall videos all day.
How about when they debuted? How about they debuted a video? Like you actually got to see the video for the first time ever with the rest of the country. It's like you're going to get to see Thriller now, and you were like, okay, I'm in.
Dude,
it was awesome.
That was a Friday Night Videos thing.
Yeah,
I remember that was Friday Night Videos where they debuted Thriller, and it was like 13 minutes long. It was this magnum opus. All right, so 80s MTV, I think just the enthusiasm that we're talking about it with is probably indicative of the fact that it's going to win. Do you think that any of these other three are going to give 80s MTV a run for its money today?
So I'm with you. Nutter Butters is my favorite store-bought prepackaged cookie. I do like the double stuff though, because anytime you can give me double the cream inside of a cookie, I will take it. Joe Montana, of course, legend in the NFL. I'm going to give you a little break here on clean sheets. So I'm a soccer fan, and Tyler used to be a goalie, and Ryan's son is a goalie. Well, when a goalie doesn't give up any goals in a game, it's referred to as a clean sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and let you have that this was in reference to goalies not giving up any goals. So
well, there's going to be a lot of people that want their vote back now, Ron. There's some 50-year-old man out there. He's like, I didn't vote for no goddamn soccer shutout. I just want to sleep. I don't know. Tim, light the candle. See what America has to say about this. We're all waiting with great anticipation. All right, there it is. He's going to go with Joe Cool, who is in second place. Clean sheets. The soccer kind, we have now clarified.
Yep.
For the public, is running third. Nutter Butters, man, that's tough break for the Nutter Butters, because I'm going to tell you, get a cold glass of skim milk, Ron. I'm a skim milk guy. Do you go 2%? Well, are you a 1%er? What do you do there? I know you're not drinking whole
I think
milk.
I've shared on the show before is that we were, again, we didn't have dessert money. I grew up drinking powdered milk. And so any milk that's creamy, I just don't like at all, like any semblance of creamy. And now just trying to, being old and out of shape, we have, I think we've got, it's either cashew or almond. It's cashew. We have cashew milk in our house. So milk has never been a big thing. Well,
Ronnie, remember to tell me that if I'm ever over at your house about ready to drink some milk, because you know that I have some tree nut allergies. Right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Not severe. Yeah. You're not going to need to stab me in the chest like it's Pulp Fiction.
You don't walk around with an EpiPen?
But I might complain like, oh, that made my mouth itch. That's the symptom that I have. If I have tree nuts, it makes the inside of my mouth burn and itch. I don't know how much it levels up. Again, I'm joking about this now. Somebody will eat an almond in front of me next week and I'll fucking turn purple, probably, for making light of it. Let's take a look at what I'm tweeting, shall we? Maybe we got time to get a couple of these in. Over at Super 70s Sports on X, you know how it is. What am I tweeting? Is I play dumb again, but then again, like clean sheets, maybe I really just don't remember. Here's one, Ryan. Can you relate to this? Was this just a Kentucky thing? I've tweeted this before. I know that people can relate to it, but I said, as a veteran of 70s and 80s PE classes, I'm fully prepared for any emergency operations that may require taking temporary shelter under a parachute. Did you ever do any parachute-related PE activities, or did that start after your day?
No, man. So first of all, you and I only grew up, 4 hours away from each other? So a lot, like we have so many similarities. So parachute day was always huge. Always. Yes. Like it was, just being able to, you everybody held it and you flapped it and it just did all that wild stuff. And then you'd go underneath it. Oh no, parachute day was almost as good as pizza day. Not quite as good, but it was up there, man.
How did it happen? It started somewhere, because it's so weird. There's nothing about it that really feels like PE, but I remember taking getting in the circle under it like those kids. I remember that we used to put like a plastic softball on it, and each side would try to
like
sling
popcorn,
it off
like
the
popcorn,
other.
like popcorn.
Yeah. Was this just something that, like, when you became a PE teacher in the 70s, they just sent you a film and a parachute and said, here you go, just do this?
It's probably one of those accidental discoveries, like the chimichanga is just a burrito that's deep fried. And the story on that is somebody knocked a burrito into a deep fryer one time, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So my guess is somebody had a parachute laying around, and couple people, and then next thing they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is fun!" And the next thing, like they don't. It'd be interesting.
Why
if,
was the
if they still do
parachute
it.
ever taken to school? Who's like, you know what? I'm going to go out in my garage. Are we going to play kickball tomorrow? No, that's getting old. I'm gonna grab this parachute I have from back when I was in Nam, and I'm gonna bring it in and see what these fucking 10-year-olds think.
I don't think they had the colorful parachutes in Nam. That's just my guess.
Well, they made those later, but the first parachute, I guarantee you, the first fucking PE teacher that got out a parachute, it was some fucking relic from the Korean War.
I mean, I'm hoping
they made the nice ones later after it got popular.
I'm assuming Jared is furiously on Google right now trying to figure out how the parachute and PE started, and you're going to get something in your ear here in a minute. So
Jared's got his feet up. He's smoking a cigarette right now. He's not gonna bother. I'm still waiting for my photo of the 1949 Washington Capitals. God damn it! I sent one over last night. I want to see the 1949 Washington Capitals, Jared, before this show is over, young man.
Hey, speaking of the Capitals, of the Capitals, the Celtics beat the Cavs last night, so that streak is over at 15.
Yeah, they got them. So
by 3, the Celtics won by 3.
The Cleveland Cavaliers streak. How many Cleveland Cavaliers can you name, Ron?
World be free.
After Donovan Mitchell.
World be free. Oh, you mean current? Oh.
I will accept World Be Free, Ron Harper, Mark Price, Craig Elo, Brad Daugherty. See, that's what happens when you get old. I can name the starting lineup of the fucking 1988 Cavaliers. We got a team now that's 15-0, and I'm like Donovan Mitchell and the guys.
You know,
I don't know. Yeah, let's get one more tweet in here before we take it to a break. I don't know what else. There you go. Look at that. I don't know about you, Ron, but like all 3 of these balls were very significant parts of my childhood.
Mine too.
The wiffle ball, obviously. The Nerf football, obviously. But that indoor Nerf spongy basketball, man, I can't tell you how many filthy dunks I threw down in my bedroom through the years with one of those. Some of the greatest of all times. If you're talking about the greatest dunkers of all time, I'm saying Michael Jordan, Vince Carter, Dominique Wilkins, Sean Kemp,
Ricky Cobb.
12-year-old Ricky Cobb. Yeah. The world doesn't have any of that footage, but I assure you it got pretty funky in Rolling Hill subdivision back in the late 70s and the early 80s. That's all I can say, Ron.
Did you have I'm pretty sure I didn't. I don't think we had Nerf money, so I think we had that kind of knockoff foam football.
You're drinking powdered milk.
No dessert at McDonald's.
You couldn't afford apple pies. I mean, this what kind of Great Depression childhood were you living, Ron?
I mean,
I'll never tease you, and it's jealousy. I'm jealous of all your vacations, but by God, you're a self-made American man who rose up from drinking powdered milk and looking longingly at other people's apple pies, and you made it happen for yourself, by God. So you enjoy those vacations. I'll never vacation shame you again, Ron.
Throwing around a Kmart version of a foam football.
It wouldn't go anywhere. Yeah.
Right,
wind
exactly.
resistance would just totally kill it.
Yep.
There is a difference. All right, Roddy. Well, let's take it to a break right now.
Look.
Look at that. Look at that. I'm hearing "fuck you," Ricky, from the production team.
They look exactly like what I thought they were going to look like. They look exactly like what I thought they were going to look like.
Look at those guys running off 15 in a row. You didn't want any of the 1948-49 Washington Capitals, my friend. Can you imagine? The best team in the NBA, at least for a while. And then here's another one, Ron. Tim's saying to me now, maybe this is why I can't remember clean sheets. Maybe a few too many marker fumes from back in the day catching up to me. As you can see here, I said, I'm not saying these motherfuckers were potent, but a couple of whiffs and some Pink Floyd was basically It was basically the SpaceX of my childhood, Ron.
Yeah, those things were pungent, weren't they?
Yeah, throw on Dark Side of the Moon after taking 4 or 5 hits off of one of those.
Now, was blue or black?
It was like riding the dragon. I don't know, Ron. They were all potent. Pick your poison. There was no bad strain of those particular permanent markers. I mean, they really would give you a buzz. It's no joke. Well, we're going to give you a buzz when we come back at Ron. I'm trying to segue out of here beautifully, and here you are talking over me, you motherfucker.
All right,
go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say,
ahead.
if I remember
Tell another
correctly,
poverty story.
If I remember correctly, those permanent markers were actually permanent markers. Like if you got some of that on your hand. My
sleeve. Well, Rod, take a look right here. 7th grade.
Yeah, right. But it was like if it got on your hand, it was on your hand for a long ass time.
Hey, OutKick fans on YouTube, if you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button and make your way over to OutKick.com where you can watch the full episode.